Charles, I'm going to be on. If you guys don't mind, I'm driving,
Okay.
so it's okay. I'm just going to stop my video, but I'm going to be on. Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Jay, you should probably mute yourself.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
It looks like we're ready to proceed.
Yeah,
Is
it
that
seems so.
correct?
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a regular meeting of the Newark Zoning Board of Adjustment. Today's date is Thursday, April 3rd, 2023. The purpose of this meeting is to hear requests for variances from the Newark zoning and land use regulations under the authority of the municipal land use law. If you're an applicant for a D or use variance, you should be aware that such a variance can only be granted after showing that special reasons for the grant of the variance exist and that the variance can be granted without substantial detriment to the zoning plan of the city of Newark. You should also be aware that in order to be granted such a variance, you require an affirmative vote of 5 members of the 7-member Board of Adjustment. Other variances require a majority of 4 votes to grant the variance. If you're an applicant for any variance and your variance is denied by this board, you have a right to appeal to the Superior Court of the State of New Jersey within 45 days of notice of the decision, and that court may overturn the decision of this board. If you are an objector to any type of variance and the variance is granted, you too may appeal to the Superior Court of the State of New Jersey within 45 days of the decision of this board. If you do file an appeal of the board's decision, we ask that in addition to complying with any notice required by statute or court rule, that you serve a copy of your pleadings on the zoning board secretary. Pursuant to the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act, also known as the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting was provided by notifying the Star Ledger, the Jersey Journal, the New York City Clerk, and posting a copy on the bulletin board in the basement of Newark City Hall. In addition to adequate notice under the Open Public Meetings Act, electronic notice of this remote public meeting was placed on the City of Newark's website as permitted by statute. Members of the public may notify the host that you would like to ask questions or make statements by using the raised hand feature at the bottom of your computer screen or mobile device. If you are on the telephone, you can alert us by pressing *9 on your telephone to do the same. The Board of Adjustment is a quasi-judicial board, and if appeals are taken, we're required to provide the Superior Court with a copy of the official transcript of the proceedings. The chat is not part of the official transcript. We want to make sure that any questions you have, any answers to those questions, and any statements that you make are part of the official transcript. So I ask that you refrain from using the chat and instead use the raise hand feature so we can be sure to record your questions, the answers to your questions, and your statements. Additionally, when you use the chat, it pops up on the screen. It's disruptive. It's the same as if you spoke out loud if we were meeting in public out of turn without being recognized. So we ask that you refrain from using the chat and use the raise hand feature. The meeting of the Board of Adjustment will now come to order. Mr. Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Certainly. Mr. Hall,
Present.
Ms. Hardesty, Mr. Comasanias,
Present.
Ms. Jones, absent. Mr. Ribeiro,
Present.
Commissioner Mumford,
Present.
Commissioner Cobian,
Present.
Commissioner Torres,
Present.
and Chair Alfon.
Present. Are there any requests for adjournments or postponements? Requests for adjournments or postponements. If so, please identify yourself by using the raise hand feature. I ask you to do so now. I see no requests. Call the first case, please.
Okay. Yeah. The first case is ZBA 23-19, 451-473 Springfield Avenue. In the C2 zone, the applicant proposes to merge lots and construct nine townhouses having 3 apartments each, 1 4-family, totaling 31 apartments. Applicant is seeking a D1 variance to permit 9 townhomes, having 3 apartments each, 1 4-family, for a total of 31 apartments. A C variance for insufficient shade trees, insufficient on-site trees, insufficient rear yard setback, insufficient lot width, insufficient lot size, and insufficient off-street parking. Site plan approval is required for this application.
I ask everyone on this application to identify yourselves by raising your hand so we can bring you in. I ask you to do so now. The Board of Adjustment made the following findings of fact with respect to this property. It's located in Newark's West Side neighborhood. The subject is an irregular shaped parcel with frontage on Springfield Avenue and South Jacob Street. The lot area is approximately 77,319 square feet. The surrounding land uses consist of residential properties and the Home Depot shopping center. Are there any, council, is your entire team in?
I can't see who all is on. Let's see here. Who is?
Who's your team?
Lewis on,
Mr. Lewis is here.
right.
Mr.
I am
McDonough is here.
Mr. McDonough. Then where'd my note go? Losing myself here. And Mr. Chisvet.
Chisette is here, yes.
Where is it? I don't see.
Are there any objectors to this application? Objectors to this application, if you're an objector to this application, please identify yourself by raising your hand. I'd ask you to do so now. I see one raised hand. Screen name CDE Souza. Can you unmute yourself and turn your camera on? Can you identify yourself, please?
Yes, my name is Cynthia D'Souza.
Hi, Mr. Souza. Are you an objector on this application?
Well, not yet, but I had questions because I live directly across the street.
Understood, and welcome. We'll let you know when it's time for you to ask questions. Counsel, your appearance for the record, please.
Thank you, Calvin Souter of Souter Law Group on behalf of the applicant, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, counsel.
Thank you. We try to do these things briefly. So I won't go over the resuscitation of this, but this is the redevelopment of a large vacant parcel on a major corridor here in our city. We are seeking some relief here, but I think it's important to note at the top of the application that despite the continued use of a townhome, which would require a use variance in this particular neighborhood, this particular application does not, in our opinion, I'm sure Mr. Hazel may or may not agree, does not fulfill the definition of a townhome development here in Newark. So I would like to go over that a little bit briefly, and just to state the record, and then let Mr. Hazel chime in there. But a townhome here in the city of Newark, per the city's land use ordinance, is defined as a 1, 2, or 3 family dwelling building in a row of at least 3 such buildings, in which each unit has its own front and rear access to the outside. No unit is located over another unit, and each unit is separated from any other unit by one or more vertical common fire-resistant walls. Here we are looking at 10 structures that do have a combined wall, but each of these structures has units above other units, and no unit has both front and rear access on its own within that firewall. So I believe that these will fall under the definition of 3 families, 1 4-family, and 1 2-family. So I just wanted to get that out there. We will have some testimony later in reference to that, but I do think it's just a reading of the definition there.
Counsel, just one question. Did the zoning officer determine that these were townhomes?
Yes, there was a zoning determination that had these listed as townhomes.
So is this an A appeal?
No, I just wanted to state that for the record so that we have the appropriate variances that we go through ultimately at the end.
So I'm a little confused then. If our zoning officer made, and I guess a question for our council, if the zoning officer made a determination that these are townhomes, council is now challenging that that determination. Do we have jurisdiction to determine that the zoning officer's determination that a D1 variance here is incorrect?
No,
That was a quick answer.
there's a time frame in which to appeal. And I'm fairly certain that has passed. I'm trying to look at the determination, get the date. Yeah, it was over a year ago.
Well, you know, I don't know. I guess the question is, Ms. Juma.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. I would like to, I was not expecting this, but I would like to address this if you give me a moment to pull up the application.
And this is Nana Juma, the zoning officer.
And to be clear, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to state it for the record.
This
I
is
do,
Council Souter.
yes. I do believe that ultimately, this application, if it were to need that variance, would qualify for it. So I don't mind pushing this off to the end if it becomes an issue on whether or not this board would want to grant those variances, but I just wanted to make the record whole.
Understood, Council. I want to make sure you have your day.
So if it's okay, I'd like to proceed since we've put that on the record. We will proceed as if we are seeking.
It's on the
use
record, but
yeah, we will proceed as if we're seeking that use variance.
okay, so we're going to proceed as if you require a D1 variance.
Yes.
Okay. That's certainly up to you. If you want to wait, we're happy to do that, Council, whatever you
Okay.
prefer.
I don't mind Ms. Juma chiming in once she has an opportunity to do it. She's absolutely correct. Since there were various changes to this plan throughout, so you know, I don't think I think you all like this application, and I'm sensitive to the time restraints that we have as well.
You want a second call and a chance to talk to Ms. Juma and Mr. Blatter, Council?
No, I'm ready to go.
Okay.
All
Council?
right. So with that, I would like to call our engineer, Mr. Chisvet, on this application.
I lost Mr. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chisvet. Could you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide excuse me, will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Could you state your name, your address, and your relationship to this application, please?
My name is Mark, M-A-R-K, Chisvet, C-H-I-S-V-E-T-T-E, with Chisvet Engineering. I'm the civil engineer. My address is 30 Meadow Pond Road, Hamburg, New Jersey.
Let the record reflect that Commissioner Jones is part of the panel at the beginning of this meeting. Mr. Chisvet, have you appeared before this board before?
Yes, I have.
And were you, when you appeared before the zoning board, were you accepted as an expert in the field of engineering?
Yes, I have been.
And is your engineering license in the state of New Jersey in full force and effect?
Yes, it is.
We'll accept Mr. Chisvet as an expert in the field of engineering. Counsel?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chisbeck, you were the engineer who provided the plans for this application, correct?
The civil engineering plans, yes.
Thank you. Can you go through those plans in depth? And as you do so, I would appreciate it if you addressed the engineering report and the water and sewer report request for testimony, please.
Sure. Am I to share my screen?
You should be able to.
Okay, you should be looking at a survey, correct? This is a survey that is actually not part of the plans that we submitted. This is the survey that we based our plans on by Morgan Engineering. I just brought this up first because I wanted to distinguish where the property limits are, and it's easiest to see on this plan, I think. So this piece of property includes a number of lots, and it's sort of an irregular in shape. It fronts on 18th and Avenue, as well as South Jacob Street and Springfield Avenue. We call the project 451 Springfield Avenue, but the portion that we're developing is mostly actually fronting on 18th Avenue. Looking at this plan, you'll see that there's the frontage, and I'm using my mouse to try to outline it so that you can follow. But starting along the bottom of the sheet, which is 18th Avenue, the frontage runs along here up into, but not including lot 64. It runs behind those lots till it hits South Jacob Street. The property extends around the entire length of South Jacob Street. There's another 122-foot frontage along Springfield Avenue. Then it jogs in and back out again. So lots 18 and 20 are not part of this site. And then this is lot 17, is just a 25-foot swath that's in between adjacent lots, which is part of the property, and back to the beginning again. So the entire property, like I said, it has frontage on 3 streets. It actually has 2 pieces of frontage on Springfield Avenue, a short one where lot 17 is, and a longer one nearer the intersection at South Jacob Street. And the entire property is 1.77 acres in size. So I'm going to flip to the plan, and this is the same orientation. I'm going to back off a little bit so you can see the entire site. Again, 18th Avenue is towards the bottom. South Jacob is on the right side. Springfield Avenue is the top of the page. Now, as you can see, the proposed development is mostly limited to the southwesterly portion of the property. It does include that lot 17 that extends out to Springfield Avenue, but the bulk of the property, all the area that's along South Jacob Street, to the north and to the east is actually not being developed at this time. What we are proposing is a cluster of buildings that, as Mr. Souter explained, we refer to them as two, 3, and 4 family buildings, not townhouse. But you can see there's a cluster of 5 buildings here. These are all 3 family buildings, each one. Then there's another cluster of 3 that's more towards the center of the site. 2 of them are 3-family. One of them is a 4-family building. And then there are 2 more buildings that are like the back in this narrow lot 17. One of the buildings, a family, fronts on Springfield Ave, and the building behind that is a 2-family. So out of the 10 buildings, 8 are 3-family, one's a 2-family, and one's a 4-family. There are 30 altogether. We are proposing access to the parking lot. The site now is, I'm going to go back to the survey just so you can see again. The site is about 2/3 consisting of distressed asphalt pavement. The area that's more towards the north and east there's a lot of lawn in this area here, fronting on South Jacob Street and Springfield Avenue. But this area here is not part of the development. It is part of the site, but it's not part of what's being developed. And go back to the site plan. We are proposing a driveway off of 18th Avenue with a parking lot for 14 parking spaces, the typical 9 by 18 at 90 degrees, except for the 180A space, which is 8 by 18 with an 8-foot buffer strip next to it for accessibility. And then the aisle is 20 feet wide. The 2 furthest back in this parking lot, the 2 last spaces are also designated as EV parking spaces. At the end parking lot, we are proposing a trash recycling area, which would be enclosed by fence. And I'm going to just zoom in a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. And then the 2 buildings in the back, they front on Springfield Avenue, and actually the building, this building doesn't front on either street. In this corner here, where in between the 3 clusters of buildings is a common landscaped plaza area. It's this triangular area. We are proposing landscaping along the front of the building as it faces 18th, along the front of the building as it faces the parking lot on both clusters of buildings. Another small cluster of landscaping here where the parking lot has the bend. That's in addition to proposed street trees that we're proposing along 18th Avenue. There is already 1 tree which we will protect and keep on this short frontage on Springfield Avenue. New curb and sidewalk along this area here. New curb and sidewalk along the frontage here on 18th Avenue. And also part of this application is a detention basin that is proposed along 18th Avenue. And one of the comments that we did receive was to surround this detention basin, which is approximately 3 feet deep, with fence. So it was not shown on this site plan, but I want to bring that up specifically and show an exhibit, which was not part of the previously approved plans. So we might want to mark this. I refer to it as EX1, which with today's date, and it's called Proposed Fence Exhibit. And the reason I bring it up is because it's requested, and I think it's a good idea, to surround this detention basin with a 4-foot high fence. We're proposing a chain link fence. Your ordinance, however, restricts the height of fences in the front yard of a residential use to 3 feet. However, we don't think 3 feet is given the proper security. We would rather have 4 feet. I think probably it's just a safety issue, and 4 feet would be what you would require if someone had a built-in pool. So that's why we suggest 4 feet. We have a proposed gate on the left end of this so that maintenance vehicle could come in from the parking lot into this detention basin.
Mr. Chisvet, did you just testify that this proposed fence exhibit suggests a variance for fence height?
Yes,
And was this part of the original application?
No,
no, that's why we're bringing it up as an exhibit. It was not
Right.
included. We're responding to a comment from engineering.
Right, yeah. So there may be a problem with that. I'm going to ask counsel, Mr. Plata.
Yes.
So, is this something that the board has jurisdiction over at this point?
Well, I guess it depends on, I mean, I haven't seen the
Notice?
clearly wasn't noticed, but how substantive is it in relation to the rest of the application?
so if I may, Mr. Chair.
This is Council Satters. Council?
So our notice is broad enough. It does it does state that we would any additional variances or waivers that may be required by the board. So we put that in all of our notices. It was part of this notice as well. And I think it's rather typical that in responding to a comment that was provided to us, right, in order for us to be able to comply with what engineering is asking us to do on this site, we would need that relief. I think it's rather typical that happens. This is not a new building or additional floor or something of that level of significance, but it is only as a result of a request by the city's engineering, which would be something that would be required. I mean, if this board doesn't want to amend the application to include it now, I don't really know when the appropriate time would be to address this issue.
Thank you. Ms. Juma, I see your hands raised.
Good evening. This is Nana Juma, zoning officer, speaking. I do want to address the comment that was made by council regarding the definition of townhomes and whether or not the D variance is required in this application. So it's at the time, in my interpretation of the definition, was that this use, the way it was presented in the plans that I reviewed initially, did fall within that category of a townhome. Also, I note that at the time of the determination, early 2024, I believe it was in March 2024, both the building type and use of 3 families were not permitted in the commercial zones. So the D variance would have applied for that reason, as well as the definition of a townhome. But I believe since the September changes, which now permit single family, 2 families, and 3 families, not single families, 2 families and 3 families in a C2 zone, that the D variance should not be applied to this application. And the board, it's my opinion that the board wouldn't have jurisdiction with that D variance being removed.
Oh,
I think if I may, Mr. Chair, I believe that this board has all of the powers of the planning board and some, and can give the same relief that the planning board gives, because the planning board cannot grant a D variance. I think that's the special power that is given to the zoning board versus the planning board. But the zoning board can still see applications that otherwise would go simply before the planning board.
I disagree, Mr. Chair, but I'll leave it to Mr. Plata to decide.
we're going to council, let's second call this. Let's Mr. Plata. We're talking about a jurisdictional matter. Shall we move to the next case, or shall we I don't want to put you under too much pressure. Let's call the next case. Mr. Sauter, I'm sure you understand. And
Completely understand,
I'm
Mr.
sure you
Chairman.
want to make sure this turns out right. And I promise I'm not going to tell the planning board what anything that you just said about our powers and theirs. Let's
Thank you,
thanks,
Mr. Chair.
counsel, Mr. Plata. Would depend on your research, and let's call the next case.
The next item on the agenda is ZBA 24-42, and that's for address 198-210 Elizabeth Avenue and 12-26 Clifton Street in the South Ward. Applicant New Clifton LLC. In the C2 zone, the applicant proposes to change the use of an existing vacant lot into an automobile parking lot. Applicant is seeking a D1 use variance to permit commercial surface parking and C variances for exceeding maximum impervious lot coverage to permit a chain link fence at 3 street frontages, insufficient on-site trees, insufficient on-site shade trees, and site plan approval is required. This application was previously adjourned from the February 20th hearing date.
The board have just made the following findings of fact with respect to this property. It's located in Newark's lower Clinton Hill neighborhood on the eastern side of Elizabeth Avenue between Clifton and Branford Streets. The lot area is approximately 61,379 square feet. The surrounding land uses consist of a place of worship, a commercial structure, and a park. Ms. Alozzi, I assume this is your case, or is your entire team in?
I'm looking.
Start naming them.
I need my engineer.
I'm here.
There he is.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, I believe we're all here, Mr. Chairman.
Somebody raise their hand. Development engineering, is that person? with you?
That's
Yes.
And Benjamin. Is there a Benjamin Olagadeo? Is he with your team? Council?
not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Okay. Are there any objectors on this property? This is 198-210 Elizabeth Avenue and 1226 Clifton. Are there any objectors? If so, please identify yourselves by raising your hand. I see 4 raised hands. Let's bring those folks in.
Should we bring them in, Mr. Chair?
I'm trying.
Okay.
So, Mr. Otu, are you an objector on this application?
Interested party.
Thank you. And sir, please forgive me if I mispronounce your name, Mr. Olagadeo. Are you an objector on this matter?
Well, I'm not going to say I'm an objector here. I just have question.
Okay, thank you. Miss Kimberly Jawan, are you an objector on this case?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Did I miss anyone? I thought there was another person.
Yes.
Yes, Miss Jackson, are you an objector on this matter?
Am.
Let the record Miss Augusto Filon, or Filion?
Correct.
Are you an objector on this matter?
Yes.
Let the record reflect that there are 3 objectors and 2 interested parties. Thanks for coming out, and we'll let you know when it's an appropriate time to ask questions. Counsel.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Lemuel Velozzi on behalf of ZBA 2442. Mr. Chairman, this was adjourned from the February 20th hearing and put on for today's date. The applicant was supposed to submit revised plans and deal with the environmental committee to make sure we were in compliance with same. Mr. Chairman, in speaking to the board secretary earlier today, we did not get any revised comments from the environmental committee. So before I begin, my first question is anybody from the environmental committee here?
Yes.
Yes.
Who's speaking? Are there members of the Environmental Committee? If so, could you please raise your hand, please? Ms. Filion and Ms. Jackson. And they are both here as objectors.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I was under the impression that all matters were resolved due to the fact that I did not get any updated review from them. Since they are here, I'm asking for an adjournment so that this can be resolved between my engineer and the Environmental Committee. I thought it was done, Mr. Chairman, and I
Understood.
apologize for taking the board's time tonight.
Understood. Ms. Jackson and Ms. Filion, you are both members of the Environmental Commission, is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah.
You guys just froze, so I didn't hear anything
I'm
that
sorry.
council just said, but
Yeah.
yes, I am a
Council-
part of, the Environmental Commission.
Right, well, thanks for coming out tonight. Council thought that the matters with the Environmental Commission had been resolved. He said he didn't hear anything. Do you have council?
To my knowledge, they have not. I still have concerns and I
Understood.
don't know,
Do you
I don't
have-
know the status
understood.
of that submission.
Understood, ma'am. Do you have council's contact information?
No, typically we receive, this is Natalie Agostafilion. Typically we receive notifications through the Office of Planning and Zoning about updated materials. We are aware that there are updated materials. Even so, some of the original comments that we made have not been addressed as far as I've seen so far. The Environmental Commission form, as an example, still has many inaccuracies. That's just one point
Right.
out. reflected
Mr.
in-
Velozzi, can you make an updated submission so that the commission has any changes to your plans that you're suggesting so they can review that?
Mr. Chairman, I again apologize. I thought that my engineer had done so. I will see to it that tomorrow any updates are given to them, and further to have a meeting with them to discuss same, because I don't understand why I'm wasting everyone's time tonight because my engineer didn't do what he said he did. But I request an adjournment so I can try to resolve this once and for all.
Okay, Mr. Hazel,
Yes, sir.
dates?
Yes, I do not have, I have dates through the May 15th meeting. I don't
How
have.
many matters on May 15th?
May 15th, there is one listed so far.
Okay, Mr. Velozzi, we can put you on for May 15th. Do you think
Thank you,
that'll,
Mr.
do
Chairman.
you
I
think that'll
appreciate
give
it.
you, do you think that will give you enough time to make the submissions and to meet with the commission?
Again, I don't see why not.
Okay, members of the commission, do you think that would give you enough time to review any submissions, make any comments, and be able to come back to this board by May 15th? Do you think that's sufficient time?
Yes, if this happens immediately and we get that information sooner rather than later, I believe so.
And I'll just supplement Natalie Agostafilion, that we have a scheduled meeting on May 14th. So if it would be possible to have it maybe one meeting later, as far as the zoning board schedule, such that any discussion that the Environmental Commission wants to have, we're able to have on May 15th. Excuse me,
That
14th.
sounds like a great idea, Mr. Velozzi.
I have no problems with that, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Hazel,
Yeah, I only have dates available to the 15th, so I'm not sure what the schedule looks like after that.
Ms. Juma, can you help us
Yes,
out here?
Yes, the following date would be Thursday, May 29th.
Okay.
Thursday, May 29th, Mr. Velozzi?
Yes, sir.
Thursday, May 29th, members of the commission?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. May I have a motion to adjourn this matter to Thursday, May 29th? You're the
Motion
first
to
case
adjourn.
on that day, so I'm sure you'll probably be heard.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion from Comisarios. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Hall. Call the roll, please.
Okay, just give me 1 second. Alrighty. All right.
We have a new and a new secretary. So bear with us.
He's doing good.
Well, let's not be so quick.
Hey. Okay, 1 second. Let me just get the right case. Yes. Okay, so who was the motion by? I'm sorry.
Motion Comisania, second Hall.
Okay. Okay. All right. Ms. Hardesty's not here. Ms. Jones, Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
We'll have to pay for the toll and
Commissioner Ribeiro?
Yes.
Vice Chair Munford?
yes.
Commissioner Kobian?
Yes.
And Chair Afan?
Yes, council, I'd ask if your applicant would consider putting a new date on the sign on the site and sending out new notices to those involved, regular mail. Is that something that your applicant would be willing to do?
It's acceptable, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much for that. This matter will be heard on May 29th, and council, as council's applicant has agreed to make those extra statutory notice requests of the board. Ms. Joanne, do you have a question or a comment?
Yes, I do. Thank you. I don't know if this is important or not, but it is a logistical error on this letter because it states the block number is listed as being 2809. That is not the block that this is in reference to. The actual block number is 2761. So to make sure that we're all on the same page about what we're actually talking about, since this issue has been kicked the can down the road several times, but that's never been corrected on any of the documentation that we've received.
Council, would you take a look at that, please?
I am making a note, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Joanne, for pointing that out. Council will take a look at that.
Okay, thank you.
And correct it if need be. And thank you, members of the public and members of the commission for coming out this evening. Thank you. Call the next case, please.
Okay, the time is now 6:59. And the next application on the agenda is ZBA 24-70. And this is for property located at 216, 218, and 220 Hawthorne Avenue. The applicant CDN Development LLC in the South Ward. The applicant proposes to merge and subdivide, proposes to merge and subdivide the subject lots into three. I'm sorry, let me start that over. The applicant proposes merger and subdivision of lots and new 3-story family homes are proposed on each new lot. Applicant is seeking a D1 use variance to permit a 3-family in the MUNC subdistrict of the South Bergen Street redevelopment area. C variances for insufficient lot size, insufficient lot width, insufficient lot depth, insufficient rear yard setback are required. In addition to a subdivision and a site plan approval is required.
Council, is this your case, Mr. Velozzi?
It is, Mr. Chairman.
Your entire team in? I see Mr. Zadmir is still here and Mr. Fernandez is in.
Then if Mr. McDonough here?
Hang on, I don't see
I
him.
do not see Mr. McDonough.
Saw him before, but I don't see
He
him
was
now.
here before. He's now gone. Why don't you see if you can quickly reach out to him? Are there any objectors on this matter? This is 216, 218, and 220 Hawthorne Avenue. If there are any objectors, please identify yourself by raising your hand. I see one raised hand. Mr. Otu. Are you an objector on this matter, Mr. Otu?
Interested party.
Interested party, thank you. Thank you, sir. Um, I'm gonna just kind of slow walk this so we can find the missing Mr. McDonough. Mr. Velozzi. Mr. Velozzi, any luck?
Mr. Fernandez is reaching out to him right now.
Okay. Mr. Fernandez is not your first witness?
Mr. Fernandez will be my first witness, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Okay. The Board of Adjustment made the following findings of fact with respect to 216, 218, and 220 Hawthorne Avenue. It's located in Newark's Lower Clinton Hill neighborhood on the southern side of Hawthorne Avenue between Bergen Street and Chadwick Avenue. The total site area is approximately 7,047 square feet. Surrounding land uses consist of mixed-use buildings, a detached dwelling, and a vacant lot. Counsel, your appearance for the record, please.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, members of the board. Noemu Velozzi on ZBA 24-70 for the applicant, CDN Development LLC. And if I can have Mr. Fernandez sworn in, we can actually maybe get something done tonight.
Let's hope so. Ms. Fernandez, raise your right hand is raised. Could you please state, do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name, your address, and relationship to this application, please.
Jorge Fernandez, Fernandes, registered architect, business address 75 Parkhurst Street, Newark, New Jersey.
Ms. Fernandez, is your architectural license in the state of New Jersey in full force and effect?
Yes, that is correct.
Ms. Fernandez is well known to this board. We'll accept him as an expert in the field of architecture. Counsel?
Thank you. Mr. Fernandez, were you able to get Mr. McDonough?
I was. He's giving some live testimony, and he's saying that he'll be able to join in about 10 minutes.
Thank you. Mr. Fernandez, if you can take us through the subdivision of this property as well as Mr. Hazel's comments as to it.
Yes. So the subdivision, I'll start with the survey. This is the survey. It was prepared by Borginski Surveying, and I believe it was submitted as an exhibit. What we have here is a irregular parcel on Hawthorne Avenue, which is composed of 3 lots, lot 27, 28, and 29. The lots are roughly 25 feet wide each, with a total of 74.95 feet in width for the whole parcel. And it goes back 94.57 in the western property line, and 96.99 in the eastern property line. And it's 72.24 feet in the rear property line. The site is also intense in terms of topography. It does raise up from the sidewalk level to all the way to the southwestern corner of the site, about 15 feet. So that's partially the reason as to why we chose to subdivide it irregularly as well, so that the lot closer to the western property line is a little wider to account for the change in elevation, and so that the house that we will then are proposing would not be so close to this hill that's on this western property line, as well as some structures that are existing in the rear properties that are fronting on the other street. So predominantly lot 21, 22, and 20. So we have here a garage, and there are other retaining walls. They are holding up parking, rear yard parking areas and rear yards of those properties. There is currently a retaining wall within our property that is not in very good shape. So we're also going to have to repair that, and I'll get into that testimony once I show my plans. But that is the reason that we are subdividing this into two parcels. The one 27.01, 3,866 square feet, and 27.02, 3,181 square feet.
Thank you, Mr. Fernandez.
So I will start with lot 27.01. This is lot 27.01. Will be addressed 218, 220 Hawthorne Avenue. Again, this is the most westernly parcel, and we're looking to develop it with a 3-family home. Here is the proposed site plan, where we have a 3-family home that's 27 feet wide, 68 foot deep. We have 3 feet on the eastern property line, the newly created property line, and we have 10 foot 1 and 11 foot 10 to the westerly property line. There is the existing retaining wall, which is close to the property line, and we will be installing a new retaining wall in front of that, partially 3 to 4 feet away from that, in order to create a terrace and have some planting area, and also to essentially cut the small hill at that corner of the property and allow for a side yard for the proposed house, as we'll have windows on that side as well. We will have a concrete walkway on the eastern side of the property on the 3-foot setback, and on the western side it will be predominantly grass area. We'll also have grass in the rear and 2 on-site trees that are proposed. We will be also proposing a sidewalk tree, shade tree, in front of the property. The rear yard is 26 foot 11 inches, and at the front yard we're at 0. And the lot being irregular, it does taper off up to 9 inches at the front yard. We were asked by the planner if we could set the building back 6 feet for the reasons of the driveway opening onto the sidewalk, and we can comply with that. What would happen is essentially our rear yard would become 20 foot 11 inches as opposed to 26 foot 11. The proposed floor plans, which we have here on my A1 page. Again, we have the house, the front entrance stair. We have access to the garage, and then the drop off in elevation allows us to have an entrance directly to the garage from the front, and then go up 1 flight of stairs and be able to access the first level, which is higher than the garage level. So here we have a 3-bedroom apartment, 3-bed, 2-bath, living area and a kitchen area. We have a closet with laundry facility, and one of the bedrooms is a master with 175 square feet. Then we have a smaller bedroom at 115 square feet, and the smallest 101 square feet. The second floor, we have a 4-bedroom apartment with the largest bedroom 198 square feet and smallest bedroom 107 square feet. This also has 2 bathrooms and a mechanical closet with laundry and of course living space in the front. The third floor plan is a similar plan for 4-bedroom, 2-bath with living space towards the front. We have here the elevations that are proposed. We have in the front 43% glazing, as we have some Juliet balconies, large windows. We also have windows over the garage door, as the garage is this house, because of the contours of the terrain. We have an additional 4 feet in height to the front elevation, and therefore it allowed us some space above the garage door to have some windows to increase our glazing for the front facade. The design is going to be masonry on the first floor and composite panels on the second and third floor with a parapet. Behind that parapet, we'll have a gable roof. And on the sides elevations, we're also compliant with the glazing requirements. We have 13% where 10% is required. And we have 11% where 10% is required. And as you can see, we have about the 4-foot difference in elevation on this side here, showing at the finished floor elevation at the garage level being 101 and at the rear yard being 105. And therefore, we created a step foundation for this house.
George, do you have a rendering?
I do. I was just about to get to that. We have the rear at 25% glazing as well. I will now share the rendering. This is the rendering. I believe that it was submitted with the package. We have here the brick masonry. Of course, this is the front elevation of the 2 homes. Here's the existing mixed-use multifamily structure that's on the corner. These are our two proposed homes. Again, we have the composite panel on the second and third floor and the brick masonry on the first. We have the windows over the garage and over the entry door. That is the, and of course, this is on the show. This rendering is depicted on the property line. And, we can set it back 6 feet from the front to accommodate for more space for cars to be able to come in and out. That's my testimony for this house. I don't know if you'd want me to go over the plans of the other house as well.
I definitely do. But Mr. Chairman, do you have any questions on this house?
Okay, let's Mr. Trafficante.
Yes, sir.
Could you raise your right hand? Do you swear affirm the testimony about to provide be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Can you state your name and title for the record, please?
My name is Charles Trafficante. I am a principal engineer. I'm also a professional engineer. I'm in employment with the City of Newark Department of Engineering. My license is active and in good standing with the State Board.
Mr. Trafficante.
May I proceed?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Mr. Fernandez, are you in receipt of the Department of Engineering's report dated March 7th of this year?
Yes.
Okay. And well, before we get into it, are you aware in the South Bergen Street redevelopment plan, front driveways are prohibited for lots less than 50 feet wide and less than 5,000 square feet in area? At least front driveways.
Yes, we are.
Is there any reason why you couldn't provide a driveway around the side yard in the back to attempt to comply with, okay. Parking requirements at page 79 of the South Bergen Street redevelopment plan. All parking interior to the building shall be side or rear loaded. Is there any way you could provide that rather than put everything to the front?
Well, first of all, that would mean that we would have to have a side driveway and possibly a shared driveway between the two properties. But the real reason is the difference in elevation from the rear to the front.
There's no way a driveway could be put in at less than a 12% grade.
It would be 12% or more given the current circumstances.
Are you planning to replace retaining walls and bench this property to some degree anyway?
We were planning to place some retaining walls at the rear, but I believe it wouldn't help the situation to the street level.
So I have a question. If this isn't permitted, council, was this noticed as a requested variance?
Mr. Chairman, if you give me a second.
Sure, and I guess I'd ask the same thing to our zoning officer. And Mr. Trafficante, did you request this as a change?
No, I just brought it to the board's attention.
Okay, thank you.
Waiver variance is required, and I made a recommendation to the board that should the board grant the variance for on-site parking in the front, we recommended to the board the applicant be required to provide a rear driveway access only. So you would have to come in through the front because it's a landlocked, the only front access they have to these lots are in the front.
Well, I guess my concern is if you said that it's not permitted,
yeah,
I guess a variance may have to be requested, but I yield to our zoning officer.
Yeah, and I guess the board planner. Also, another point to be had, and I would have to ask the board planner, Mr. Hazel, and I hate to put you on the spot. I believe in the South Bergen Street redevelopment. Well, first, I believe there's a bus stop in front of this property, if I read the survey correctly. Is that correct, Mr. Fernandez?
Yes, there is.
Okay. I also believe there's a requirement in South Bergen Street that all bus stops are required or recommended that a bus shelter be provided at all bus stops. Another reason.
That what? I'm sorry?
Bus shelter. Now, that's something to be considered if there is a bus stop in front of this property. Now, granted, it's not on South Bergen Street, but it's at the intersection of Hawthorne Avenue and South Bergen Street, which it looks to be a major corridor. And since there is a bus stop there, and there is a provision, a recommendation, I believe it's a recommendation. Again, I defer to the board planner. The recommendation or requirement, all right? Bus shelters are either recommended or required to be provided. I don't know. That would have some bearing on them putting driveways in the front of the houses too, at least in one of them. The bus shelter has to be provided or is asked to be provided, either way. It's something else to be brought out or to be considered. So.
Mr. Chair, if I may, this is Nana Juma, zoning officer speaking. To your question about whether or not I listed the driveway at the front of the parcel as one of the variances to be sought, the answer is no. I did not. However, I did look at the notice that the applicant provided, and similar to the previous application statement, they included the catch-all phrase to include any other variances that were any other bulk variances that were not included explicitly.
So yeah, this board has never been really amenable to using that general catch-all for any variances. I guess my question, Ms. Juma, is do you believe this is a required variance at now?
I agree that that standard is in the redevelopment plan, yes. I don't quite understand when you say if it's required now.
Well, I mean, would it require a variance?
It would, yes.
Okay.
If I may, if you
This
look,
is Gerald Hazel,
yeah,
the board planner.
I'm sorry, it is listed. I did see that, but this is a design. At most it would require a design waiver. I do not see what is what is provided in the ordinance. It's a parking design standard, and in my opinion, that would require a waiver and not a zoning variance per se.
Ms. Juma? You
I
agree with
agree.
that?
I do, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. Here we are now with a design waiver or not. Mr. Hazel, any comments on the appropriateness of granting a design waiver?
I have a problem, as you can see with my report as well, with the driveway being on the front. And when I say on the front, on the so close to the sidewalk, it's just problematic, just coming in and coming out. And so what I did hear tonight, which I think actually is a nice idea, but the architect basically is saying that it would be very difficult to do. I like the idea of actually doing a shared driveway and having them basically access some parking in the backyard, whether it's in the yard itself or whether it's accessing it into the building. That would be the more ideal situation, in my opinion.
You agree with that, Mr. Traficante?
Yes.
Mr. Fernandez, could you think about that for a moment? While you're thinking about that, Commissioner Comesañas?
To, I guess the comment made by Mr. Hazel, I think if they shared a driveway, the point where they would access it wouldn't move any further back. It would still be at the same location. There'd be one of them instead of two, but then we also lose green space, right? I mean, would it solve it if they're able, Mr. Fernandez said they're able to recess the structures, and that wouldn't cause a variance for the backyard? Mr. Fernandez?
We have, Jorge Fernandez, we have a variance for the rear yard as it is. If we were to decrease, set the buildings back 6 feet, we would have a more substantial variance at the rear yard. But we would still have 20 feet of rear yard, which is not unlike some properties in the city that have 20 feet and that they have front yard, front setbacks.
I mean, would it have to be 6 feet? Could it go 4? Could it go 5? Or just to addressing Mr. Hazel's where they're coming out, you know, how close to the sidewalk? Because I don't like that either. You know, there should be a little bit of a buffer space there. So I don't know if there's a magic number that makes more sense than 0, that would make everyone feel better. I'm not sure.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Hazel in his original report recommended the 6 foot. So that's where we get the 6 foot from. If Mr. Hazel has a different number, we could work with that. Or does he like the 6 foot?
Short of the shared driveway scenario, which is beginning to sound less and less, desirable, at least the 6 foot to me would be fine. That way, at least you'd have most of the length of a car, so that nothing just sort of opens up and comes out of the garage onto the sidewalk. So that was the rationale behind my 6 foot.
So, Mr. Traficante.
Yes, sir. Okay, that sounds all well and good, but everyone's forgetting if I'm not mistaken, there's still a bus stop. Whether we get to the bus shelter or not is another conversation. You still have a bus stop in front of these lots. So by going from 2 driveways to 1, you may be able to not impact the bus stop. Have a common driveway along the side yard common property line. That's something to consider. All right. But I would think it'd be reasonable to ask the applicant to meet us halfway rather than make them put it in the backyard and, have a common driveway that serves both lots along the shared property line to see if we can spare impact to the bus stop, which board may choose or may not choose to have a bus shelter put on top. That's another issue. Again, that's what it asks for, recommends, in the South Bergen Street redevelopment plan. So putting it out there, just, you know, thought is common driveway instead of two separate driveways. Again, increase the green space, all right? And have them push the houses back to whatever was recommended, 6 feet, whatever, what's agreed upon, all right? But, you know, and then maybe have like a 3 feet of sidewalk in between the houses on each lot and have the driveway be out, but have a common driveway to see if you can save or not impact the existing bus stop that's out there. Just something to consider. I don't know. A question for Mr. Fernandez, if I may be allowed to ask.
Please.
Mr. Fernandez, do you have any information from your surveyor or anywhere else showing the dimensions of this existing bus stop and location? Survey does know the bus stop, but that's about all, I believe. I don't know if it gives a length in the signs, bus stop signs from here to here. Is there
Yes,
any of
I can share the survey.
Right. All right.
Here's the survey. So as you can see, let me zoom in a bit. This is the eastern part of the site. We have here the first bus stop sign, which is partially in front of the existing structure on the corner. And the western part of the site, as you can see, the bus stop sign is essentially almost in our western property line. So I don't even.
So that bus stop.
If that's 10 feet, it would be too much. We should have 10 feet, and unfortunately, this is also the highest elevation of our site, and to have a driveway come through here would be very, very unlikely. Whatever driveway, even if it were shared, would be possibly coming through the center of the site.
Yeah.
And therefore, still in front of the bus stop.
So no matter how you cut it, the bus stop extends across the frontage of pretty much all 3 lots. Is that fair to say, Mr. Fernandez?
That is correct, yes.
Oh, there's no getting around that bus stop, huh? Have you had any communications with New Jersey Transit about relocating that or seeing if you can move it?
I have not.
Do you plan to?
We will be open to dialogue with them.
Again, that's something to consider, especially if you're putting a driveway, to 1/3 and 2/3 of that bus stop, right? And again, has yet to be determined if a shelter is recommended to be added to that, which will definitely kill your driveway, won't it?
Let's talk about the rear of the site. Mr. Fernandez, Mr. Traficante originally brought that up. Tell me again tell us, the board again, what the problems you face there are.
Yes, well, the major problem is the difference in elevation. Our site starts at 100 feet. It goes up 5 feet towards the rear, and then it goes up another almost 5 feet towards the western corner, which is essentially a small hill on the western corner. And to create a driveway here, we would have a ramp up, almost either eliminating our first floor or completely burying our first floor. And you would essentially have a basement apartment as opposed to a on-grade apartment, or have essentially a podium that would raise up our property about 5 feet and then have the driveway going up. But that would just be the eastern property. The western property would have to be raised up about 2 or 3 feet more just because of the site constraints. And on top of that, their side windows would be facing a hill on the rear of these properties here on the western property line. So it's just a lot of site irregularities that are existing, and we would have to work around. I feel like leaving that area as grass, trees, would not only have a rear yard for the tenants of the building, but also it would help with the with the site work.
You see those concerns, right, Mr. Traficante?
I see them, but you know, again, we're talking 2 houses, major subdivision. Yeah, I mean, it can't be done. You know, you're gonna have to terrace it. I see that, but I've seen other lots terrace steeper than this terrace. So never say never. It can be done. I know it may be a cost, but again, I can't use cost to justify, you know. We've had this conversation, you know, I can't use cost as a reason to just, you know, record, you know. No,
You lose some trees though, Mr. Traficante, right, Mr. Fernandez?
I'm sorry?
We'd lose some trees that way though, wouldn't we, Mr.
Yeah,
Fernandez?
inevitably, yes. The space will get limited back there. We could possibly plant them on the front setback, but they'll be much tighter, so.
I don't think Mr. Traficante is bothered by the loss of those trees though.
No, I'm not. Sorry.
So this is a site plan problem, is that correct, Mr. Hazel?
Yes, essentially it is. Yes.
Well, counsel, so I'm trying to think of a way forward here. I guess we could, I guess, here's what I see. Although I'm not a great fan, number one, we could adjourn this. And you could look at site plan, you could look at changes to deal with this problem of the bus stops. You could reach out to New Jersey Transit. Lord knows how long that might take. You could look at putting at terracing the back. Or we can proceed with this except for the site plan. And you can try and deal with that and come back to this board. I think that this is so significant though, that I think the board would want you to come back and show us what you finally agreed to, even after you worked it through with staff. But of course, the board can always vote to override my suggestion.
Mr. Chairman, I think that maybe we can get the bus stop moved. Who knows? But yeah, I think that an adjournment is a great recommendation, so that we could sit down with New Jersey Transit or try to restructure it. I understand the problems. We are trying to provide both parking and green at the same time, which is rare. You know that.
Yeah,
So
I appreciate it. The board appreciates that.
and I'd like to pursue that avenue. And I think the probably the easiest way to pursue that would be to maybe see if we can somehow work with New Jersey Transit to push that driveway, the bus stop further along on the block. But it's a conversation we cannot have in 5 minutes. So yeah, I agree that maybe we do need an adjournment tonight.
So it's unfortunate that we can't move forward, but based on the ability of the board to really schedule things with a schedule that is much lighter than a couple of years ago, I guess we're fortunate to be able to do that. Mr. Velozzi, do you think, I heard you're going to be here on May 29th. Do you want to see if that will be enough time, or do you think we should go beyond that?
Mr. Chairman, I have no idea. So I'd like May 29th.
Okay.
My client will move expeditiously. I'm sure Mr. Fernandez will assist in that, in trying to resolve it. So, you know, the shorter time constraint is better because it's going to force us to move quicker.
Any comments or questions from the board? Ms. Velozzi, again, I'd ask as a courtesy, if your applicant would agree to put paste the new date on the sign on the site and send out a letter, regular mail to the notice list.
It's agreeable, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Souter, I see your hand raised. Do you have something on this matter?
No, I just knew this was ending, so I wanted to raise my hand.
Okay, so then we'll hold you, sir. May I have a motion to adjourn this matter to May 29th?
Motion to adjourn.
That was motion.
Second.
Comesañas. Second, Ribeiro. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Hall,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Commissioner Jones.
yeah, we'll come back. Vice Chair Munford,
Yes.
Commissioner Kobion,
Yes.
Commissioner Torres,
Yes.
Chair Font.
Yes, and this is not a this is not a criticism, but don't we have technical review meetings?
Not for, but for certain size projects. This one didn't meet the threshold.
Okay, okay. Well, I'm glad we're able to have a schedule that allows us to look at this and not make council come back 6 months later. Commissioner Comesañas.
Chair, I believe Ribeiro and I still have to vote, even though we.
Excuse me?
Oh, you did. You're right. I'm sorry. You're right. You do have to vote as well. Sorry. Commissioner Comesañas
Yes.
and Commissioner Ribeiro.
Yes.
All right, council, 0 for 2.
At least we're all smiling.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. Enjoy your night.
Thank you. Council Souter.
Mr. Chair, I tried to send some messages to Mr. Plata and Ms. Juma. I'm not fully sure if they got them or not. But as my
You
wife,
need 5 minutes, council?
no, I don't think I do. What I wanted to say to you is, as my wife always says, I was wrong.
You must be talking to my wife.
Mr. Chair, even with the change in the zoning ordinance that does make 2, 3, and 4-bedroom units permissible, they would not necessarily be permissible in this sense because of the artillery road. I believe it's called frontage on a collector or arterial road, which was an asterisk that was part of it. So the D variance would be needed here, as was properly noticed. And I'd be remiss if I didn't tell Ms. Juma that I was also wrong in reference to if I did not need that D variance, you would not have jurisdiction.
So now you are saying we do have jurisdiction.
I believe so.
Okay.
Could
Mr.
you-
Plata.
let's-
You need time to look at that, Mr. Plata?
Well, I think it's
And Ms.
No.
Juma.
yeah, I was gonna say I think that's whether or not a D variance is required, I think the planner zoning officer may want to chime in.
So here's what we're gonna do. Never before has Mr. Souter, or any other council, fought for jurisdiction by this board over the planning board. So this is we're in a whole new thing here. Let's take it's 7:40. Let's take 10 minutes for Ms. Juma, Mr. Blata, Mr. Hazel to confer. Maybe talk with council if you feel you need to. We'll be back at 7:50 and we'll either move forward or not, okay? Let's go off the record, back
Recording
at 7:50
stopped.
temporary. Thank you.
Hello.
Fíjate, gracias.
The time is now 7:53. Can everyone please return to their computers and put their cameras back on? Thank you.
Recording in progress.
Okay, we're just waiting for everyone to jump back on. Can't remember when I've lost and gained jurisdiction as a board member. Just quickly on one matter before. Mr. Plata.
Yes, it's a very interesting conversation with the professionals. And as we've already seen today, there's been some confusion and back and forth as how to, just decide what type of building this is. Now there's issues with lot size, whether there's going to be new variances required. So my concern is that without a updated or revised zoning determination, we can't be certain with respect to what variances may be needed and making sure they're properly noticed. I think that in fairness to our zoning officer, she should be able to have the opportunity to revise the determination before we move forward. And given the debate on the on what this is, if there is a dispute, then that can be appealed properly and addressed. So that would, my recommendation is to adjourn to allow for the zoning officer to make a new determination and go from there.
Well, counsel, I know that neither you or this board plan for things to come out this way this evening, but it sounds like that may be, and I'm happy to hear from you. It sounds like that may be the best outcome for both, well, for especially your applicant, to make sure that everything is as it should be. Counsel?
I don't think it's as I think a D variance would still be required here, which was properly noticed. I think the only variance that has not been noticed was due to a request by the engineering department, and we're talking about a variance related to a foot on a fence. I don't necessarily believe that it is necessary for us to go back. But I'm not the counsel for this board. So I would expect you to listen to your counsel. But I just don't think that it is as that complicated. And I think it would bring up other questions, when things are asked for by this board, and it happens all the time, where this particular board will say to someone, we may approve it, but it may be approved and it as something different. I think it brings up a very valid question of not every time that happens, if you would need to adjourn that hearing and need to renotice and come back when that happens, as soon as there's any deviation from what was originally noticed. That's my concern, that we can be headed down a slippery slope there, given what is being requested. The confusion that we have tonight, I think, is a result of zoning ordinances changing in the midst of things, which has happened. We had a new master plan, right? And then the new redevelopment plans caught up, and the zoning ordinance caught up after that. So I just think we'd be losing time, but your counsel, I think he makes valid points. I just don't think that it would change the outcome ultimately, and we'd just be losing time.
Mr. Hazel, what's the next date we have?
I'm just working with the 29th. That I don't have, the 29th is the latest that I have.
Well, you had a date before that.
I had the 15th.
You had the 15th. How many cases on the 15th?
On the 15th, I had 2 cases.
So, counsel, I hear you. I especially hear that you say that you would expect us to agree with our counsel. So with that, may I have a motion to adjourn this to May 15th?
Motion.
We have a motion, Commissioner Hall. May I have a second?
Second.
Second, Comisanias. Call the roll, please.
Okay, 1 second. Paul and second Comisanias. Okay, and Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Ribeiro?
Yes.
Vice Chair Mumford?
Yes.
Commissioner Hall?
Yes.
Commissioner Comisanias?
Yes.
Commissioner Kobian?
Yes.
And Chair Alfant?
Yes, counsel, and ask, just as a courtesy, if your applicant would be willing to paste the new date on the sign and send regular mail notices to the 200 feet notice list.
We would have no problem doing that, but I think it would be appropriate for us to fully renotice if we have a new zoning determination.
It's okay.
Good point. Thank you for that, counsel. I guess
Chair.
we will see. Well, I
Mr.
will
Chair.
leave that to you if that's noted. Vice
Chair.
Chair Munford.
I just have one question. Was this in the central or the west?
This is in the central. I have it listed.
It is the central?
Mhm.
Okay, thanks.
Counsel, thanks for your patience, and I think, hope to see you on the 15th with all these questions resolved. Thank you. What's the next thing on the agenda?
The time is now 8:01, and the next item on the agenda is ZBA 24-72. That is 363-371 Raymond Boulevard. That is in the central one. The applicant proposes an adaptive reuse of an existing space for a retail cannabis business. Applicant is seeking 2D3 variances for failing to meet the conditional use standards and C variances for exceeding maximum front yard setback, exceeding maximum impervious lot coverage, insufficient front facade transparency, and a variance to permit freestanding blade sign. Site plan approval is required.
Mr. Chair,
Raymond Boulevard, did you say?
Raymond Boulevard.
I don't have that.
Oh boy. Is it a full moon? I do not have that myself, so
Take another 5.
Is that also your case, Council Souter?
it is, Mr. Chair. I have it listed as the last application for this evening
yes,
on the agenda.
it is.
Mr. Chair, are you saying you don't have it, the agenda or the findings of fact?
Findings of
Well,
fact.
I don't have the findings of fact, nor do I have the planner's report.
I can forward that to you. Is there anybody else that doesn't have?
I need it, Mr. Hazel.
Okay.
And let me be clear, the reason I don't have this has nothing to do with any visit I have to council's applicant here, place of business.
All right. I don't have the finding of fact, so you're gonna have to. I'm not sure how we.
Ms. Juma, do you have the findings of fact there?
I'm checking the secretary's folder. to see if I
Thank
can
you.
find it.
Okay, I am sending to you right now. It is coming. Okay, sent it to everyone again. So, Calvin, you do have the report, right?
I do. The April 1st report, I'm assuming you're referring to?
Yes.
So, Mr. Chair, although I didn't find it, if you would like, I can give the findings of fact that I found regarding this application.
Okay, just bear with me 1 second. Okay, I'm gonna ask that we call this case, and I'm gonna ask counsel to slow walk this so that we have time to fully digest what we may not have had the chance to do before. Mr. Hazel.
Next item on the agenda is ZBA 24-72. The address is 363-371 Raymond Boulevard. The applicant is All Star Development Enterprises, LLC. The applicant proposes an adaptive reuse of an existing space for a retail cannabis business. Applicant is seeking 2 D3 variances for failing to meet conditional use standards, and C variances for exceeding maximum front yard setback, exceeding maximum impervious lot coverage, insufficient front facade transparency, and variance to permit a freestanding blade sign. Site plan approval is also required.
Ms. Juma, the findings of fact as best as you can, please.
The Board of Adjustment made the following findings of fact with respect to 363-371 Raymond Boulevard, which is located in the city's East Ward and loosely bounded by Euclid Avenue, Lockwood Street, and Raymond Boulevard. The surrounding land uses consist mostly of light industrial and commercial zones, and the total square footage of the lot is 27,350 square feet.
Thank you. Counsel, is your entire team in?
I can only see us, the members of the
Oh, wait,
board, and
I see Trevor Curtis, your engineer, I think. Is that correct?
yes,
And I see
Corey Bushholz, and John McDonough.
I see Mr. Bushholz, and Mr. McDonough has returned.
You made it.
The wayward Mr. McDonough is now with us. This is application ZBA-24-72, 363, 371 Raymond Boulevard. Are there any objectors on this application? If so, please identify yourselves by raising your hands. I ask you to do so now. I see no raised hands. Council?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For ease of reference, this particular development will be going next door, if this board so approves it, to Blueprint Cafe, which I think many of us are familiar with, in some unused space within that particular building, off of Raymond Boulevard, in the section that is particularly kind of very much so highway-like, where it is located. We acknowledge and note that there is technically a park across the street, and remind folks that there's several lanes of traffic that can go, at a very high speed. So it's not likely that folks will regularly be crossing the street randomly. But despite the fact that there is technically a park there, what is actually there is a empty concrete structure or facade and an overgrown lot, and nothing else. This is not an area, it is not a active or usable park. I think there's plans for it to become a future park, but it is technically designated as a park. This application comes to us from two Norkers. By the long history of these retail cannabis establishments, and carving out a piece for minorities and those who were significantly disadvantaged as this process was going forward. This is one of those applications with minority applicants who were raised here and raised their families here in the city of Newark, and have worked very hard to find this location, working with the city and the residents in the East Ward to find a location that was ideal for the people of the community. So I just wanted to put that out there. This location was not randomly picked. It was not a location that was found because it was cheap. We were asked to find a location that wasn't so within the community, where children would be walking regularly, and where there was a dense population of folks walking. And this became the area. This particular property was suggested to this applicant, and we did what was necessary, we believe, to make it work. So with that, I would like to call our civil engineer, Trevor, to give us a recitation of what is going on from an engineering standpoint in this application.
Mr. Curtis, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name, give us your address and relationship to this application, please.
My name is Trevor Curtis. I'm with L2A Land Design, and we reside at 66 Grand Avenue in the city of Englewood.
Thank you. Mr. Curtis, have you appeared before this board before?
I appeared in front of Newark, but I can't remember if it was planning or zoning.
Well,
A number of times.
Council.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Trevor, can you go through the engineering that is required?
Well, even before we do that, Council, can you just qualify this witness?
I'm sorry. Can you go through your CV, please, and your qualifications for this board?
Sure. I'm a licensed professional civil engineer in the state of New Jersey. I've had a license in New Jersey for the last 6.5 years. Graduated from Rutgers University in 2013 with a bachelor's in science and civil engineering. And I've appeared before the city of Newark, as well as other municipalities throughout the state, including Jersey City, Hoboken, Englewood, and a number more.
Well, now you've appeared before the zoning board of the city. Welcome. And we'll accept Mr. Curtis a Rutgers grad as an expert in the field of engineering. Counsel?
Thank you. Trevor, can you go through the engineering for this particular site?
Sure. Should I bring up the plans that were submitted to the board?
Please.
Can we see the plans?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So on a general note, this is for repurposing adaptive reuse of an existing building for a cannabis retailer called All Star Dispensary, located at 363 to 371 Raymond Boulevard, and it is located within the I-1 and light industrial zone and designated as Lot 18, Block 2407. The existing site, and I'm referring to sheet CO2 existing conditions, the existing site is completely developed, located just off Raymond Boulevard, and consists of the Blueprint restaurant, as well as a portion of the building consisting of, I guess, for lack of a better word, storage warehouse with some contractor storage materials in the northern rear portion of the lot, and an ancillary structure for an existing garage. There's an existing parking lot located immediately east of the building, consisting of approximately 10 parking spaces. Site access is off Raymond Boulevard with a full access movement driveway. The existing Blueprint restaurant, if anybody has been to the site, and I'll zoom in, fronts on Raymond Boulevard and has a raised patio area. So I'll bring that up furthermore when I get into the grading aspects of the proposed improvements. So sheet CO3 identifies the improvements for the proposed site. The grade area on the western portion of the building indicates the approximate 1,802 square foot cannabis retailer space, whereas previously existing on this portion of the building is a at-grade storage area. It appears to be some sort of garage that could be accessed from Raymond Boulevard. The improvements would consist of mainly interior site improvements to fit out this cannabis retailer with a new door in the back and steps in the rear, as well as continuing the raised patio of the existing Blueprint Cafe to meet the finished floor elevation of the Blueprint Cafe. The site is situated in a flood zone, and that flood elevation is approximately 10. So I believe when the Blueprint restaurant was improved, they raised the finished floor to 1 foot above. And that's what we intend to do here as well, is to create an access as well as finished floor that's 1 foot above the floodplain. So that's why you see the improvements along Raymond Boulevard to continue that raised patio area. That raised patio area would also be accessible via the sidewalk on Raymond Boulevard with steps. And essentially, the parking lot remains the same with some minor striping improvements. Required parking for this use, and as well as the other uses on the subject property, is 2 parking spaces. The site proposes 10 parking spaces to remain, with some restriping to further identify where those spaces are. Essentially, pedestrians or patrons exit their vehicles and walk along the eastern portion of the building to the ramp access located along Raymond Boulevard and access the proposed dispensary or the restaurant, whichever they are coming to the site for. I'll change to sheet CO4, which identifies the grading. The grading, again, I mentioned we're raising the existing finished floor to elevation 11.1, which somewhat matches the existing restaurant. And that's why we continue the raised patio along Raymond Boulevard. The sidewalk along Raymond Boulevard is greater than 5 feet wide, which I believe is the ordinance. It's, I believe, 10.5 feet wide at its minimum along Raymond Boulevard between the property line and the curbing within Raymond Boulevard. That sidewalk is less than 2% slope, cross slope, and less than 5% maximum longitudinal slope along Raymond, allowing for that ADA access required under the ordinance. The lighting plan, and I know this was a topic of discussion in the planner's report and the engineer's report. We are intensifying the lighting and redoing the lighting of the property to meet the standards of the city ordinance. And I understand that there are some areas that are slightly under the requirements, and I would testify that any lighting comments would be addressed to fully meet those requirements. In particular, all lighting within 10 feet of the front entrance of the proposed cannabis retailer, as well as 1 foot minimum around the property. I'd also like to note that there's a somewhat tricky ordinance where a maximum of 0.5 foot candles is required at property lines, whereas a 1 foot minimum is required throughout the entire property. So at the property line, there would likely be some spillover that exceeds 0.5 to meet that 1 throughout the property. We go through the set and we find details. So in summary, I did get a chance to review the planner's report, Newark Water and Sewer report, as well as the engineering report, and would agree to comply with the comments outlined within those reports, inclusive of adding any landscaping which may be required, including street trees along Raymond Boulevard for the frontage and shade tree plantings within the site itself. I believe 4 street trees would be required, and 5 or 6 shade trees, depending on what's there existing. I believe there is 1 tree on the site, would be planted and would meet the requirements of the landscaping. I would also agree to comply with any of Mr. Traficante's comments outlined, including vehicle circulation, identifying dimensions, and replacing the curb and the sidewalk, concrete apron within the driveway. And the Water and Sewer Department had a number of comments about stormwater, including a trench drain at Raymond Boulevard and replacing the water lateral as part of the improvements. So that basically sums up the testimony from the civil end, and you'll hear some more testimony regarding the variances associated with this application from our planner and the aesthetics and interior improvements, as well as operations from the architect.
Mr. Curtis, just to confirm, it's your testimony that your applicant is going to comply with all requirements of the Department of Engineering. Is that correct?
Yes, it's my intent to comply, and I'm saying that with a...
Hold on, Mr. Curtis. Hold on. I don't understand that. I guess what I'm asking is, as a condition of approval, will you comply with all requirements set forth in the memorandum from the Department of Engineering?
Mr. Chair, before he answers that question, Mr. Chair, there are some issues here because we don't own the building, and there's an active establishment work going on next door. What I am most concerned about is changing the lead pipeline, which is noted as having not been replaced yet. Because this isn't our building and because there's an active restaurant going on, we believe that would be the responsibility of the landlord to do so. But we would agree to work with them to try to get that done. But it's not our building, so we can't blanketly agree to that.
Is that the only reservation?
That was really the only reservation that I saw some concerns with. The rest of them seem to be reasonable and things that would be within our purview to be able to do.
So council, as a condition of approval, does your applicant agree to comply with each and every requirement set forth in the memorandum from the city engineer, except at this point for the replacement of the water service line?
Correct.
I'm almost to, I almost didn't, I hope I heard this right. Is it also your applicant's agreement as a condition of approval to provide all trees required by the city ordinance?
I would like to work with the city's arborist to see if they if the ordinance and what the city arbor would want
You're
would
breaking my heart, Mr. Sauer.
come together. I would like to say yes, but given the location, I'm concerned that what we would be talking about is planting something that otherwise could present a hazard. Usually on roads of that level, you don't put new trees there. That's my concern and why I don't want to just say yes.
The engineer seemed pretty confident.
Well,
Mr. Trafficante.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Trafficante, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Could you state your name and your title for the record, please?
My name is Charles Trafficante. I am a principal engineer and a professional engineer. I am employed by the city of Newark, Department of Engineering. My license is active and in good standing with the state board.
Mr. Trafficante,
Yes, sir.
at the risk of hearing something I don't want to hear from you, but do you also see that there may be a problem with planting the required trees here?
If they put them in the site distance triangle, yeah, they could be a problem. That's why it may be prudent to consult the city arborist.
Mr. Trafficante.
All right. First things first, Mr. Sauer, where in the engineering report did we ask you to replace the lead water service line? I don't remember making that comment. You sure that's not water and sewer telling you that?
I'm sorry, maybe water and sewer as you typically found in the engineering report. So
We're not going to split hairs,
apologize.
Mr. Trafficante.
All right, nevertheless, question for Mr. Curtis, if you can answer. The Department of Engineering's report to the Zoning Boards of Adjustments dated March 28, 2025. On page 2, item 1, Roman numeral 4. Survey notes lands in use by lot 18 that are within adjoining lot 50, block 2406, located to the north. Applicant property owner shall provide testimony to the board as to what approvals, easements have been granted to them by the property owner of adjoining lot 50, block 2406, to encroach onto lot 50 and install a vinyl planter and storage racking attached to a corrugated metal fence on lot 50, block 2406. Can you address that, Mr. Curtis?
I can say that I don't know of any easements that have been obtained. Maybe the attorney could weigh in on whether those actually exist. Obviously, there are encroachments that would have to be rectified as well.
Another question. Now, I could be mistaken. Now, it's my understanding with the new stormwater regs, I don't know if it applies to all developments, but I have been told you need to be 2 feet above the 100-year flood elevation, not 1. 1 was with the old rule. Now, whether the new rule is in effect on it yet or not, I don't know, but it could be. If it is, you may need to go another foot.
The current flood hazard area regs require 1 foot above the flood hazard area design flood. Because this is tidally influenced, the rules have not changed yet. They anticipate changing the tidal rules this summer. That would refer to fluvial regs.
Okay, so you're saying what? That even
1 foot.
Even if the new rules were in effect, that wouldn't apply because you're tidal, not fluvial?
It would go into effect if we don't have an approval, preliminary or final site plan approval before the rule changes, which they anticipate somewhere in July or August. So then we would be subject to the additional raising of the finished floor.
So fair to say, Mr. Souter, you don't want this adjourned either, right?
I do
Fair
not.
to say, I guess, all right. Well, all right, I mean, otherwise, I guess the only concern engineering has is if you exceed the maximum lighting. I believe the zoning map, you have mixed uses, mixed residential and commercial on either side of your property. The only concern we would have is if you create a nuisance, glare to adjoining properties. If you put one throughout, is there any, a condition of approval should be willing to make or offer to make at this time, addressing glare from adjoining property owners for a certain period of time from when you get your final CO, like 1 or 2 years? That should your client, adjoining property owners or their landlords have, or their tenants have complaints about glare from your property, your client be willing to address them to the satisfaction of the neighbor?
I would say, I would defer to Calvin with respect to the client's request. However, I do note, again, it is a very tricky situation where the minimum foot candle for the entire property has to be 1, but the maximum foot candle at the property line is 0.5. It's kind of a chicken or the egg. You can have one, but not the other. So I would say that I'm going to do my absolute best, and that's why I said my intent is to comply with all the comments. But I would respectfully request that a waiver or variance for maximum foot candles at the property line be requested on our application, because I just, from an engineering standpoint, don't think it's possible to meet both. You meet one or the other.
I get that, Mr. Curtis, but the concern is if you do get the relief and the variance and you do exceed the maximum, that you don't create a problem or a nuisance for a joint.
Yeah, I agree, Mr. Trafficante, and I would say that sounds like a reasonable request.
Is that something client be willing to make?
I would ask that the condition be that we would work with our neighbors within reason. We know this section of Newark, we know we have some folks who can be unreasonable. But we would definitely want to be good neighbors, being mindful of the fact that this property is in an industrial section of the city. And it does not neighbor any residential housing around it, behind it, in front of it, to the left or right of it at this particular time. And I highly would doubt that, given this area, that they would build it there. Now, if a block away or so, we would be willing to work with folks within reason if it's giving them that sort of glare.
Well, again, we could quibble all night, Mr.
So
Souter.
Mr. Trafficante, I wonder, I don't know what they call them when they put those directional things on the light to stop spillage. Would that work here?
Hoods and shields, or you lower the mounting height to reduce the spillage. It's called throws. There's up, I think you get up to 5 different throws for light fixtures.
Would that work here?
Yes, I do include integral shields, and the lights that face towards our building would have those to prevent that spillage. There also is a masonry wall along the property line on the east that could help satisfy that. At the front of the property where you have no walls, it will get a little tricky, but again, I will minimize to the extent possible. And I have no objection to a look back study on the lighting to determine whether or not there are any requests from the neighbors to tone down the lighting. And I'd also like to add, the lighting designs have come a long way over the years, where these are fully automated. They can be dimmed. They can be, the lighting can be turned on and off with an iPhone. So it's a very adaptable system. But again, I have no issue with a look back study if Mr. Trafficante believes that that's something that's necessary.
And Mr. Curtis, are you, on behalf of your client, are you agreeing to use that adaptive lighting that you spoke to here that can be dimmed if need be?
Yes, I would agree to an automated control system to be installed with the lighting throughout the entire property.
Mr. Trafficante, you satisfied with that? Sounds good.
We'll work for now,
Great, thank you. Anything further, Mr. Trafficante?
No further questions, thank you.
Council, as a condition of approval, it hurts me to say this, would you agree to work with the arborist to plant as many trees, listening mightily to Mr. Curtis as to the ability to plant as many of the trees that you can on this site?
Yes,
And with the arborist and our planner. Is that agreeable to you?
yes.
I'm not part of that condition of approval, but I'd ask that you and Mr. Curtis push back against Mr. Trafficante on that. As to the planner's report, there was, it noted no environmental justice and cumulative impact statement, the full form. As a condition of approval, do you agree to provide these completed documents, counsel?
Yes.
There was no green roof. Will you be providing a green roof here, counsel?
No, we don't.
Okay,
Again,
well
we
then
don't
let's
own the
have
building.
testimony as to why you're not going to provide a green roof. We talked about the shade trees, and I think we're going to talk about the day-to-day operation.
Yes.
So is the engineer going to talk about the green roof or the failure to provide
Or
one?
lack thereof. I guess I guess I I don't know if he would be the appropriate person to talk about that. I guess we could have the architect talk about
Okay,
that.
great.
And just note for the record
Okay.
that we're
One last question. As a condition of approval, do you agree to comply with all conditions set forth by the Division of Water and Sewer Council?
Yeah, we actually have gotten, I would ask that one of the conditions just be changed. I've been made aware from the ownership of the property that the lead pipe has been changed. So I would like to just provide proof that that has happened and not have a condition that we actually need to change it.
Great. Mr. Jamali. Mr. Jamali, raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony about to provide be truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, Mr. Chair.
Please state your name and title for the record.
Name's Asadullah Jamali, Principal Engineer for the Department of Water and Sewer. I guess council answered my question or answered my comment. So as long as they can provide proof, I think that comment can be waived.
Thank you. And if council can't provide that, he's testified that they will reach out to the owner of the building to try and have that resolved. That's
Okay.
acceptable to you, Mr. Jamali?
That is acceptable, Mr. Chair.
Great. Council.
Thank you. I think there's no further questions for Mr. Curtis.
Yeah. Are there any questions from the board? I'm sorry. Thank you. Any questions from the board for the engineer? Questions for the engineer? Are there questions from the public for the engineer? Questions from the public for the engineer? Hearing none, council?
Thank you. With that, I'd like to call our architect, Mr. Bushholz.
Mr. Bushholz, could you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please state your name, give us your address and relationship to this application, please.
My name is Corey Buchholz, Buchholz. I work at GRA Design Studio as a senior architect. Our office is located in Greenbrook, New Jersey. I am the project architect for this project that you see before you. I've been in front of at least 24 boards at this point. My license is current within the state, and I've been a licensed architect for the past 3 full years.
Have you been in front of this board?
I have not had the pleasure yet, but I am enjoying it tonight so far.
Well, don't get ahead of yourself, Mr. Buchholz. Welcome to the Newark Zoning Board.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Buchholz, who has testified that his architectural license in the state of New Jersey is in full force and effect. Council.
Mr. Buchholz, can you give your resume for the purview of this board?
Yes, I am a licensed architect within the state. I've been in front of multiple boards, most recently in Linden for a cannabis manufacturing facility. I'm very familiar with these kind of properties and this kind of use in multiple towns. We're also in front of Bloomfield, New Jersey for another dispensary. We just got one approved in Elmwood Park last month as well.
We'll accept Mr. Buckholz as an architect, as an expert in architecture with a sub-expertise in cannabis facilities, it appears.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Buckles, can you go through your plans and walk us through this facility?
Yes, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, the plan you see before you is oriented slightly differently from the site plans. The front of the building is over here on the left. This is an extension of the deck that exists currently for the cafe. This is to both provide ADA access from the existing ramp, as well as provide street access from the sidewalk with these steps over here. The entire floor inside the building is going to be raised up to the 1 foot level that was testified by Trevor earlier tonight. You have a secured vestibule for people to enter, provide ID, check in. Then they're let into the main showroom where there's different displays, both digitally and physical, kiosks for ordering. And then the checkout line is over here. You have non-cannabis storage, which is paper goods, anything you'd find in a normal storage closet for retail use. Fulfillment is where they pull product out of the vault for the day to fulfill orders. The cannabis vault is a secure storage room for overnight and long-term storage of all cannabis products. The vault is a built wall system like you would normally see in a store, but includes expanded wire mesh as a security measure, which then is usually also put on the roof as well of the, not the building, but on the roof of the room, the ceiling, to prevent access or at least slow down unauthorized access. This is just the office for the managers, small break room for the staff, 2 restrooms, and then this is a secure receiving area where product is brought here, and then transferred into the vault. So there's never a door open to the vault beyond just walking in and out through fulfillment. You have a generous closet in this corner, and the waste is secure. This is the cannabis storage waste, where it is very, in facilities like this, is very minimal. The last application we had, they testified in front of it that they were active in another site for a couple of years, and they never had enough product that was damaged or that they had to dispose of. But there are methods for disposing of that in certain ways approved by the state, which they would certainly do. The blue area over here is the adjacent Blueprint Cafe, which there is a shared door to the, I believe it's the basement, but that will be secured, and there is security provided per the security plan, which you'll see later on in the application tonight. Up here, you also have the proposed blade sign where the pole is going to be placed on the property, and then the signage for both our parking and the dispensary itself, as well as Blueprint Cafe, will be perpendicular to the street for better visibility due to the more highway nature of the road that we're on. And that is all I have.
Council?
Can you discuss the wall between Blueprint Cafe and this particular retail establishment? Or have we done some security measures to ensure this?
Yeah, the demise wall between the 2 units is a full height wall, and any wall space between the 2 will have the expanded mesh in it as well, for security purposes. Now, I'm not going to say that it's security proof or intrusion proof, but it is a measure to slow down people and deter them significantly. It's very hard to get through these meshes, and you need serious hardware in order to do so.
Okay, and there was a discussion about the roof beforehand and it becoming a green roof. I don't believe this is a green roof.
It is not, and that is outside the purview of our tenant, our client. That is a landlord element that we have no control over.
Right, to your to your knowledge, is there any access to the roof from our facility?
Not that I'm aware of.
And there's no intent to use the roof for any purposes either?
Not by us now.
And in terms of the square footage of the roof, the portion of the building that we're using, would you characterize that as minimal in comparison to the entirety of the building square footage or roof square footage?
I would agree with that statement, yes.
Okay. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it over to the board.
Are there any questions for the architect from the board? Questions from the board for the architect? Mr. Buckholz, is there going to be any work done to the roof here?
By us, only if for HVAC unit work, if we need to do some structural reinforcement or put in a new package rooftop unit for this space. And any work that is done on that will obviously through what's required by building code, and also if there's any screening required by the Newark, we will provide that as well.
If you're gonna do work to the roof, if you have to, would then it be appropriate to install a green roof if you're up there doing work on it anyway?
Well, if we're doing work, it's to installing a mechanical unit. It's not to provide a green roof. Our scope would only be for any mechanical space that we require for it.
Understood, but if you're up there doing any work, would that be an appropriate time to install some green roofing material there?
That would be a landlord element. We would only be allowed to do what we have to do by code for building, providing HVAC equipment.
So you'd have to ask the landlord.
That would have to be a landlord element, and doing a green roof.
What do you mean
would also
landlord
require-
element? You keep
We don't
saying
own the building.
landlord- Oh, let me finish.
Okay.
You keep saying landlord element. What do you mean by landlord element?
We are tenants within this space, leasing from the building owner, the landlord. As far as I understand, the lease does not extend to using the roof or converting it to a green roof. So any requirements from the city to do so would require landlord approval to do that. And it's beyond what was agreed to in their leasing.
Is it expensive to turn that roof into a green roof, Mr. Buckholz?
There would be, in order to turn into a green roof, there would be significant structural reinforcement that would probably have to happen, both for soils and for water retention. So it would not be an easy undertaking, to say the very least.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for the architect? Council? Oh, I'm sorry. Are there any questions from the public for the architect? Questions for the public, from the public for the architect? Mr. Buckholz, are you familiar with this site?
Yes.
There's a dearth of trees along this block. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, there's a good amount of trees. I'm just bringing it up again. It's been a while since I've looked at the site.
Well, there's an absence of trees.
Yes, sorry, yeah, there's an absence of trees. There are some trees in the current cafe, a little green area in front of the raised platform.
Since we can't have a green roof, it would be nice to have some shade trees, all right? Don't you think?
I would defer to our civil engineer for that, but I always enjoy
I'm sure
trees.
you will. Council,
Thank you, Mr. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Did I ask if there were any questions from the public for the architect? Council?
Thank you. With that, I'd like to call our planner.
And he's just coming in. Mr. McDonough, could you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm testimony about to provide be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Could you state your name and your address and relationship to this application, please?
My name is John McDonough. My address is 101 Gibraltar Drive, Parsippany, New Jersey. and my affiliation to this project is as the project planner.
Thank you. Mr. McDonough is well known to this board. Mr. McDonough, is your planning license in the state of New Jersey in full force and effect?
Yes, it is, sir.
We'll accept Mr. McDonough as an expert in the field of planning. Council.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. John, you've gone over this application.
Yes, I have.
Considering its location, and the request that we have tonight, can you go over the balancing test on whether or not it would be appropriate here for this particular facility?
Sure thing. And we'll start, as we always do, with a screen share of the subject property. And Mr. Chair, this is going to be just a single exhibit, an aerial drone photograph of the subject property as it exists today.
Wow. Look at all those trees.
So again, we're dealing with a conditional use in your industrial district, your light industrial district. So I think the board well knows this is what we call a D3 conditional use variance, which has a lesser, more relaxed test than a D1 use variance for use that would be wholly prohibited in the zone. The focus is not on the use per se, but on the condition. And the primary condition, as laid out in Mr. Hazel's report, is the separation from a park, which would be on the opposite side of Raymond Boulevard. And as council said at the outset, the intent of that regulation to be 500 feet away from a park, to have this land use from a park, is to create separation. And I would offer, looking at this photograph, that separation is in place with the existence of a multi-lane road, certainly not pedestrian friendly in terms of crossing over. So there is a natural and physical separation between this land use and the park, which would be to the right in this particular photograph. On the balancing, again, the focus is on the legislative intent, not on the use per se. I think the board can turn in terms of looking at the positive and the negative criteria to the legislation itself, which found that which legalized cannabis here in New Jersey, and the multiple socioeconomic benefits that go along with this use would count towards the positive criteria and the promotion of the general welfare. Also, with efficient use of land, this is adaptive reuse of an existing structure, promotion of a desirable visual environment, maintaining what's there and familiar in the local landscape. And then finally, purpose G, to provide for a variety of uses in appropriate locations according to the needs of all New Jersey citizens. With that, we think there's strong weight on the positive side. In terms of the negative criteria, separation is met by virtue of the road system that separates this land use from the park. We believe that relief for this conditional use and this conditional use standard at this location can be granted without any substantially adverse impacts to the public, without any substantial impairment to the intent and purpose of your zone plan. This relief relates to a specific piece of property and is certainly not a tantamount to a rezone of the entire industrial district. With that, Mr. Chair, I would offer that the statutory criteria for the primary relief that the applicant is seeking are met. All of the other relief would be subsumed within the overall balancing of that D3 conditional use relief. That's all I have on direct, Mr. Chair.
Council.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With that, I do have the ownership available.
Well, do you have any further questions for Mr. McDonough?
I do not.
Are there any questions from the board for Mr. McDonough? Questions from the board for Mr. McDonough? Mr. McDonough, could you put that back
Sorry,
up?
too quick, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. So, Mr. McDonough, how far are we looking? How much real estate are we looking at on this block? Any idea?
In terms of the vantage up and down,
Yeah.
this is probably a quarter mile to a mile within.
How many trees within that area are there on that block? I don't see any. Are
They're
there?
minimal. There are minimal, if any. I agree.
I don't see any. I'm missing the minimals.
Yeah, you'd
I
have to
see
look, you have
absolutely
to look way
none.
down here.
So I'm concerned about that. Am I right to be concerned about the absence of trees, the whole absence of trees here?
Yes, obviously to the
Why? Why is that?
well, the many benefits of trees in terms of providing mitigating heat island effect, air quality, all of the biological environmental benefits that would go with trees.
And mitigating the heat, that's a problem in Newark as an urban desert, isn't that correct?
Correct.
And you said helping to cleanse the air, is that correct?
Correct.
We have a very high rate of childhood asthma, isn't that correct, Mr. McDonough? If you're aware.
In the city, yes, indeed.
And do trees help with help to allay that?
They certainly do.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so thanks for that. I'm really concerned about this area calls for, I think, 10 trees, isn't that correct?
Yes.
And applicant is asking to provide none, isn't that correct?
Yes.
Well, that I know applicant doesn't intend this, but that turns to be a danger to our citizens. Don't you agree?
Well, it's all about balancing, Mr. Chair, and I have to rely on the engineering testimony as well and the practical difficulties of whatever utilities or other infrastructure prevents that from happening. I agree there are many benefits of trees, but there are also practical difficulties in providing them.
And if the engineer raised no practical difficulties, that would inure to the benefit of trees being planted. Don't you agree?
Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions for the planner? Commissioner Comisarios.
Chair, I think I have I guess a general question, or maybe it's for Ms. Juma or Mr. Hazel. So to the tree concern, I noticed, and I've asked this question in other areas before. On Raymond Boulevard, up until almost 4 blocks from this location, there's no other trees, and then they're on the residential side. Do we have an ordinance that does not allow us to put trees on the public right of way that we don't know of, maybe because of the zone, or because this happens where we have stretches where there's no trees, where it might look intentional. So, for example, if they agree to plant the trees, are they violating some other ordinance? And
Mr.
does that
Hazel?
ordinance need to be fixed so that we can include trees?
Mr. Hazel?
Yeah, basically, to my knowledge, there's no such ordinance that would preclude. What would preclude is if there's something specifically about the infrastructure, maybe under the ground or something that might, impact planting of trees and so. But to my knowledge, I don't know of any that prohibit trees from being planted anywhere, short of the infrastructure not permitting it in terms of what's underneath the ground there and things of that sort, whether there's lines or other utility services under there.
Thank you.
Ms. Hazel, was there any testimony by the engineer about such infrastructure preventing the ability to plant trees in this matter?
Not that I can recall them.
Thank you. Any other questions for the planner? Council?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With that, unless someone has questions for the ownership, I turn it over to you.
Are there any questions for the owner as to hours of operation, et cetera, et cetera? Vice Chair Monfort, do you have a question for the owner?
Yes.
Let's bring him on then, Mr. Council. Is the owner here?
Yes, I'm waiting for them to be let in.
Could the owner raise their hand and we'll identify, if the owner identifies themselves, we'll bring them in. Janine Squire, counsel?
Yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Hall.
Yeah, and this is to you, Chairman. We just had this conversation about trees, and we're coming to the end of this hearing. And I'm wondering if anybody wants to speak to it before we get to voting.
I'm always hopeful that the council might consider addressing the trees. And I'm always hopeful that Mr. Traficante will not be.
Hopefully, I mean, a conversation. We're just kind of moving by it without conversation to give us board members something to think about.
Yeah, I'd invite council to maybe have a review of the trees, something. But in the meantime, I see screen name Janine Squire. Who are we calling, council?
They are both owners. Janine Squire, Israel, and Everett Prime.
Okay, let's start with Miss Janine Squire. Would you raise your right hand, ma'am? Do you swear?
Good evening.
Good evening. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Can you state your name, your address, and relationship to this application, please?
Janine Squire, address 518 Belvedere Avenue, Plainfield, New Jersey. I am part owner of All Star Development, All Star Dispensary.
Thank you. And sir, could you raise your right hand, please?
Yeah.
Sir, do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, Your Honor.
Could you please state your name, your address, and relationship to this application, sir?
Everett Prime, what is my Taylor Street, 1 Everett Prime, 817 High Street, Newark, New Jersey.
Thank you. Counsel. You're muted, counsel.
My apologies, Chair. I turn it over for questions to the board.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Vice Chair Monfort, yes.
Good evening. I'm very consistent with cannabis applicants. Each one has a different determination how they tell us the disposal of unused cannabis. Could you just talk about your process? And because some use different companies, so I want to know what you'll be doing for unused cannabis.
So unused cannabis will be properly or safely stored in our waste bins, and then they'll be disposed on a weekly basis, and that will be with a consultant, with a contractor that will be disposing of that.
So your contractor will be responsible for disposal. Do you know if that contractor will be using the cat litter method, or do you know what the method would be?
Not at this time.
Okay. And your hours of operation?
9 a.m.
9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
No further questions, Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for the operator? Commissioner Riviero.
If I understood correctly, you have another location?
No.
No, this is the only location.
Oh, no, I must have misheard. Sorry, thank you. One more thing, I'm sorry. About the hours of operation, you said 9 to 9. Monday to Sunday?
Yeah.
No, so 9 to 9, Monday through Friday, 9 to 10 on Saturday, and then 9 to 5 on Sundays.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hall.
Yes, there was some testimony about security, but it was kind of quick and no details. Will there be armed security there, cameras? You give a description of security.
Yes, there will be both, and we actually have our security consultant on the call as well, if you'd like additional information.
Okay, no, that's fine. Is it armed security or
armed security? Yes.
Okay, and the cameras maybe your security guy can tell us a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Chair.
You'd like to call the security consultant?
Yeah, just to talk about it, just get a feel for it.
I don't have a problem with that, Mr. Chair.
Council, who is are there any further questions for the applicant operator? Further questions from the board for the applicant operator? Are there questions for the applicant operator from the public? Questions from the public for the applicant operator? Hearing none, council, who's the security? What's the name of the security? Okay, Reginald. Is that who we're looking at, council? Council, you're muted.
Reginald Merritt.
Yes. Screen name Reginald, can you unmute yourself and turn your camera on, please? Hi, could you raise your right hand, sir? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please state your name, give us your address and relationship to this application, sir. Please.
My name is Reginald Merritt, President of Ed Security and Investigations. My address is 76 Bruin Street in Newark. My relationship, I am the security expert.
Thank you, counsel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Reggie, can you go through the security plan here?
Yes. My presentation, as far as the perimeters and access control, the facility will have a control entry points, ensuring all authorized personnel and verified customers can access the premises. Security personnel will be present during operation, all operating hours to monitor entry and exit points. ID verification will be conducted at the entrance, ensuring compliance with age restrictions and state guidelines. Secure fencing and lighting will deter unauthorized access after hours. The surveillance system, a 24-hour or 24/7 high resolution video surveillance system will cover all entry points, sales areas, storage rooms, and exterior perimeters. Cameras will be monitored in real time and store footage for a minimum of 30 days in accordance with the state requirements. Footage will be accessible to law enforcement and regulatory agencies as needed. Alarm and intrusion detection. A monitored alarm system will be installed with motion sensors, glass break detectors, and door contacts. The system will be connected to the police dispatch and a third-party monitoring company. Panic buttons will be strategically placed in the store for emergency situations. As far as product security and inventory control, all cannabis products will be stored in a secure vault at all times. Strict inventory tracking and compliance software will be used to monitor all transactions and prevent any diversion. Employees will be trained in all anti-theft measures and secure handling of procedures. Employees will also undergo extensive security training, including protocols for emergency response, robbery prevention, and customer interactions. Background checks will be conducted for all employees as part of the hiring process, and only authorized staff will have access to the storage areas with role-based security clearances. And lastly, community safety and law enforcement coordination. We will work closely with the police department to establish a security liaison and response plan. Regular security audits and compliance checks will be conducted to ensure adherence to local and state laws. And our business will participate in community outreach programs to promote responsible cannabis use and neighborhood safety. That would conclude my testimony.
Counsel?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll turn it over to the board for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Merritt. Questions for Mr. Merritt?
No, I just want to thank him for the comprehensive answer. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, very comprehensive. Are there any questions for Mr. Merritt, the security expert from the board? Are there any questions from the public? Council, do you have any further witnesses?
I do not, Mr. Chair.
Council, I wish you could tell us something better on the trees.
You know, Mr. Chair, I would love to tell you something better on the trees.
Okay, do you
It was
need 5
just-
minutes to do that?
No,
Mr.
I'm
Sanders?
more so just concerned about the safety issue. It is a major road that in that particular area, I mean, I know what exists behind there is very high traffic, large vehicles. So outside of the safety, that's why in the conversation earlier, we just asked that we work with the city's arborist to come up with the plan.
You want zero, you want a variance to plant 0 trees instead of 10. And your your engineer said he could probably do 10. Can't you at least tell us, you'll agree to do X? Something, Mr. Sauter. I know you have a deep concern about Newark and its citizens.
Look, I have asthma.
Right.
I'm born and raised in Newark and have asthma myself and
Well, here
understand.
you go. Here you
Tim
go.
Gilchrist is a friend of mine. I understand far too well the level of unhealthy air that we have here. But I also am concerned that
I
these
knew the
trees
butt was coming.
could be a harm. I think we can agree to do whatever the city arborist asked us to do in reference to the 10 trees that are required. We are not looking to not plant 10 trees, but that location, I think, poses a safety hazard that should be a concern.
Nobody testified to that. No one testified to that. So I'm really concerned about this. And I wonder, and I see, and I think you share that concern. I wonder if it might not be a good idea to hear this, to go to a vote on everything but the site plan and have that dealt with and then come back so we can have a quick review of the site plan for the trees. Commissioner Monfort.
Mr. Chair, is it possible that as a conditional approval on a site plan that the applicant works with the city arborist to plant trees that would not hinder the line of sight or cause injury? I mean, I know sometimes certain trees can be planted that won't grow to the extent where it will hinder the line of sight and possibly cause injury. If we can do that, I think we can get to a compromise.
Yeah, council has kind of agreed to that, but still kind of asked for a variance on all the trees. So I'd like to suggest to the board that we consider this except for the tree variance and have that worked out. And if he has to come back, if he could provide all the trees, done.
I think that's an excellent proposal, but I'd add a step further that probably, as the arbiter, let Hazel weigh into this process to give his opinion.
And I think council, as a fellow sufferer from asthma and someone who cares about Newark, would be happy to agree to that. Wouldn't you, council?
I think my client
Apologies.
has something to say.
Yes, I just want to jump in to say that
Ms.
we will.
Squire, Ms.
Yes.
Squire, don't say anything unless and until your lawyer says you should. That's my warning. I'll leave it to your counsel. You're muted, counsel.
She's more than welcome to speak.
Okay, Ms. Squire?
Yes, on the topic of the trees, we are open and willing to meet the request for trees towards the back or wherever required.
So, counsel, I'll ask you two questions here. It sounds like your applicant just said that they would meet the requirement of the city, but if you'd rather, I'm happy to give everything, consider all variances but the trees, and
I think
let you come back on the trees. How would you like to proceed?
we prefer to move. My client has been working on this application for 3.5 years.
No, I'm not saying
Um,
to adjourn the application. I'm just saying to consider everything but the trees.
Right. I think she would like to be able to move forward to get her drawings done so that she can actually get the store open versus needing to wait. So, if you want the trees to go there, we could say we could put them there. I just, again, Mr.
So
Chair,
as a condition of approval, you're agreeing to comply with the city's ordinance regarding the trees, council?
uh, we are.
Okay, thank
I
you.
prefer, Mr. Chairman, that we do something that ensured safety for all people, but
So then,
to blanket,
council, that's why I gave you this opportunity. You could
right.
either agree to do the trees or
We
agree
are agreeing
or
to do the trees.
okay, thank you. As a condition of approval, council's applicant agrees to plant trees as required by the city ordinance. Are there any further questions from the board regarding this matter? Are there any questions from the public regarding this matter? Are there any members of the public who care to make a statement at this time? If so, please use the raise hand feature. I'd ask you to, or if you're on a telephone, press *9. I'd ask you to do this now. Council,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. With that, I turn it over to the board for a vote.
council has submitted. We're now in discussion.
Mr. Chair, before discussion,
Yes,
yeah,
Commissioner Hall.
I want the trees as much as you do, but I want safety too. I don't want to just put trees up. So I don't know where we go from here.
We're
That's
now
not a
in
good answer.
discussion.
Mr. Chair,
Was that the vice
Vice
chair?
Chair.
Yes.
This is probably one of the easiest locations we've had to look at a cannabis approval. Other locations have given us a hard time, and we really had to dig deep into discussion. But this one is fairly at a location that's not really a detriment or be considered a detriment to residential neighborhoods. Hopefully we can work out the tree situation because it's part of what we need and have to do in the city going forward. But I am in favor of the application.
Thank you, Commissioner Ribeiro.
I agree with Vice Chair. In many ways, that is a little dead corner of it, Newark, Raymond. Going back, simple thing about the tree, I don't think the applicant could plant trees without just planting trees anywhere they want it, regardless. So they have to work with the city, unless they want to put in the big yard they have. I worked for a trucking company there 13 years ago, so I know that the property really well. They could use some trees for sure. So overall, this is a good location. I feel safe, I feel secure, I feel great about it. So I will be in favor of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hall.
Yes, it's a good application. I'm glad that more business is coming to Newark. In terms of this location, I think it's the right location for. I am concerned that the way that we're leaving this plant trees, I don't like. I'm sure some good minds will come safely, and I hope that the arbiter will be a part of it. I am in favor of this application.
Yeah, you were going in and out a bit there.
I'm in favor of the application.
Thank you. Any other comments from the board? I just note that despite attempts to offer an alternative, we are now facing a situation where the applicant, and I thank the applicant for this, has agreed as a condition of approval to plant the trees. That's where we are. May I have a motion, please? I guess the board could change that if it wanted to.
motion to approve ZBA. Do you have it there? 23-19 I'm sorry. Stand corrected. Where are we at, Commissioner?
24-72.
I'm sorry.
Back at the other one.
Motion to approve ZBA 24-72, 363-371 Raymond Boulevard with all conditions agreed to.
We have a motion for approval.
Second.
May I have a
Second.
second?
Second,
Second, I think that was Vice Chair. Call the
yes.
roll, please.
Commissioner Riviera,
Yes.
Commissioner Munford,
Yes.
Commissioner Hall,
Yes.
Commissioner Komisanias,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Kobian,
Yes.
Chair Afan.
Yes, we need site plan here, isn't that correct?
Yes.
Move it with conditions for trees.
Second.
We have a motion for site plan approval. Commissioner Montford, second, Commissioner Hall, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Riviera,
Yes.
okay. Vice Chair Munford,
Yes.
Commissioner Kobian,
Yes.
Commissioner Hall,
Yes.
Commissioner Komisanias,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Chair Afan.
Yes, so I want to congratulate the applicants, owners, and thank them for working to help relieve Council Satter and my asthma. Thank you very much and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What is the next matter on the agenda?
Next matter on the agenda is that's it.
Are there any minutes that have to be approved, Mr. Secretary?
Not that I'm aware of.
I'm sure you were going to say that. Are there any resolutions? And I must say, you were okay, but Sylvia is much quicker than you. Council, are there any resolutions that have to be approved?
No.
So, strange night. We had, I think we did one application.
Yep.
It's now 9:21. And, wow.
We got 10 trees.
We did get 10 trees. We did get 10 trees.
Mr. Chair, can I make a joke? I'm not gonna ask you guys to
Well-
stay late as usual, like I usually do, but I do have a joke. I would have found it
Do we
ironic.
need to have this recorded?
I mean, I don't know. It's a little light joke.
Okay. All right.
I would have found it ironic if the only cannabis application on the agenda would have a hard time planting trees. So I'm glad they agreed to do so.
No.
That's a good one.
That is pretty
planted
good.
a lot of weeds, but no trees.
Have a good night.
Very
You
good.
too.
Very good. Council, any resolutions that have to be approved?
No.
How are we on resolutions, Council?
Well, we'll be through the 20th, but council for the January 27th and February 20th meetings is away on vacation. So we'll get those done the next meeting along with February 27th. So we should be caught up.
So we're backed up to, we're only go back to January, is that fair?
Yeah.
Oh,
But the resolutions were done and circulated. So they'll definitely get approved the next.
or not, or voted down, it's possible. Mr. Secretary, when is our next meeting?
Our next meeting is the April 17th. So we don't have anything next week.
April 17th.
Yeah.
So everyone has a couple of days after taxes are due. 4/17.
Damn, that's good.
Thanks for coming out, everyone. And a motion to adjourn is now in order.
Move it.
It's non-debatable. All in favor, say aye.
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 Have a
Good
good
night,
night.
everyone.
Good night.
April
Good
17th.
night.
Thank you.